This is the Sceptre E275B-QPD168. Let's jump right into the review, but if at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same monitor, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links, but let's jump into it. Now, this gaming monitor is in one of the most competitive spaces in gaming monitors, that being a 27-inch 1440p IPS gaming monitor. It's at a good price of $300. However, is that enough to set it apart from the competition? Let's find out. Firstly, like I said, this is a 27-inch monitor with a resolution of 1440p and a flat IPS panel. The PPI on this is pretty good at 109. That means the image, how crisp and clear everything is going to be. 109 is pretty good. That means the image is going to be crisp and clear. Gaming is going to be crisp and clear. And at this resolution, it'll be pretty easy to hit those higher frames even with a less powerful rig. But all of those stats puts the Sceptre directly in competition with the LG 27GN800-B, which is also typically priced at $300, although sometimes it is a little bit higher. But the LG is my most recommended gaming 27-inch 1440p monitor in a $300 price point for an IPS. So can this thing beat it? Let's find out. Now, the Sceptre hits a max refresh rate of 165 Hertz, which is good. And it has AMD FreeSync Premium for variable refresh rate. Now, comparing this to the LG only hits 144 Hertz, but that really makes absolutely no difference in actual usability. But the thing where the LG definitely beats this is that the LG has G-Sync compatibility. That's huge, especially for a lot of you I know love G-Sync, and at this low price point, you do get G-Sync with that LG. But let's not leave it there. We gotta continue with this because there's some things that the Sceptre beats the LG with, and we're gonna talk about that now, which is the brightness. Now, Sceptre typically sets themselves apart from all the other brands recently with brightness. They've had a lot more brightness. They've had high brightness in a lot of their monitors, which is really cool to see. And that's no exception here. Now, they claim 400 nits of brightness in their advertising, but this thing, during testing using my luxometer, this thing hit a max brightness of 563 nits. That way outdoes the peak brightness that they advertise. That is huge. Now, comparing this to the LG, which also outperforms its rating of 350 nits, it's really sitting at a high 300s, just below 400 nits. But even though that is good and a very respectable, very good brightness, that doesn't even come close to the Sceptre with 563 nits. That is absolutely amazing. The overall panel is just a brighter, more vibrant, beautiful panel over that LG. That is huge. That's something that I wasn't expecting. Now, colors are very slightly better on the Sceptre than the LG, hitting 100% coverage of the sRGB color space, where the LG only hits 99% of the sRGB color space. There's really no difference there, and they both use frame rate control to output 10 bits of color, which is great. However, on that Sceptre, that is only when it's connected via DisplayPort, so make sure if you want that 10 bits of color, use a DisplayPort. Now, talking about contrast ratios, obviously on both of them, it's just gonna be 1001. These are IPS panels. Now, response time and ghosting. LG typically has really good response time, some of the best in the industry, some of the lowest. The amount of ghosting, incredibly low. Both of these hit a 1 millisecond gray to gray response time. The difference is here, the Sceptre actually wins because when the LG is in its fastest setting, fastest overdrive setting, to reach that 1 millisecond gray to gray, it has a lot of pixel overshooting. Not a ton, but a little bit more than you would probably like, a little bit more than I would like. That being said, in the Sceptre, when it's hitting that 1 millisecond gray to gray response time, there is a teeny bit of pixel overshooting or inverse ghosting, not enough for me to not turn it on. Me personally, I would have it in the fastest overdrive setting with that teeny little bit of inverse ghosting. In medium, there's a tiny bit of ghosting, and I literally mean a tiny bit. You will not notice it in any game ever. However, there's no pixel overshooting. So if you want probably the best viewing experience, go with medium, although you probably won't notice a difference in high. So I give it to the Sceptre, which is huge. This may be the first time that any IPS panel has outdone LG with direct, real user experience with ghosting. That's actually really good. Sceptre's stepping up their game here. But let's move on to the menu system and controls. This is where Sceptre doesn't step up their game. In fact, they took a backward step. The LG is perfect. Perfect controls, no learning curve, incredibly easy to do everything. It's intuitive. The menu system is pretty. It's easy to use. Everything can be found fast. And again, like I said, it's pretty. Now you take the Sceptre. they have this weird menu system with a power on button and then 2 other like rocker buttons on the back and then 2 other on the right. It's just bad. There's no joystick. We needed a joystick. There is a learning curve. The menu system is functional, like the way it looks, but it's just ugly. That needs to be stepped up. Some other Sceptre monitors have had that joystick. I wish they just kept that here. So yeah, the menu system is functional. You can absolutely change all of the settings, but if you want to be going in those settings a lot, maybe not the monitor for you. However, if you're gonna set your stuff and forget it, perfectly fine. The VESA compatibility, the Sceptre uses a bracket to have that VESA compatibility, not a problem. It comes in the box when you get this monitor, and it is a 75 by 75 millimeter VESA mount. Now as well, this also has internal speakers. They are not fantastic. They are dual 2-watt speakers. They actually sound pretty clear, but again, like these are monitor speakers. Don't expect this thing to blow your socks off. They don't get super loud, but if you need to use them in a pinch, you're someone who just uses headphones most of the time, these can absolutely work. Ports are pretty good with 2 HDMI 2.0s and a DisplayPort 1.4, and then a 3.5 millimeter audio out. All right, but moving on to stand and build quality. The Sceptre obviously takes the cake here in one aspect, which is the actual usability of the stand. It has height adjustability, tilt, and even swivel. Now, the whole stand is basically made of exposed metal that is then painted. So it's really good quality. It's very sturdy, it's very strong, and it's very stable. Not only that, but it has that quick release click in back. So it's fast to set up and it's easy if you want to mount it on a monitor arm. You can just take it right off that stand. Now you compare this to the LG. The LG, it doesn't get one of those nice stands because the $300 price point is a step down and they don't change the panel, but they change the stand. So all you get is tilt, and it's not one of those nice click-in stands. It's one of those things that snaps in, and to take it off, you really gotta yank it out. It's not the best stand, although I do prefer the way it looks on the LG over the Sceptre. But again, that's all up to personal preference, and most of us won't care too much. But overall, which one should you buy? Well, if you want a monitor that does everything well and is a polished product, then go with that LG. It does everything well. But if you don't care about a crappy menu system or not having G-Sync compatibility, you get that super beautiful, bright, and vibrant panel that the Sceptre has. That's a huge selling point for me. So if you like that, go with the Sceptre. Again, if you want to check out either of these monitors, I'll link both of them below to Amazon for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But the Sceptre actually kept up with that LG way more than I thought it was going to. That's really impressive. The brightness and vibrancy of that panel really gives it a huge selling factor for me. Sceptre, keep doing what you're doing. But this was Type C Tech Reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next video.